Here's a question from B. Myers who asks, do you guys have recommendations for power supplies, or do you plug your LiPo charger into a wall outlet? So asking, do you plug your LiPo charger into a wall outlet, presumes that the LiPo charger has a AC adapter, where I don't have one at hand. I thought I might have a LiPo charger nearby, but I don't. Some LiPo chargers have AC built in. So if we look at this LiPo charger, right, this is the Hoda D6 Pro, and if we look, it is an AC and DC LiPo charger. So where can we see that? I wish we could see a picture of it, like the back of it. Let me just go to images. No one has a picture of the back of it where the plug plugs in. It has a plug for an AC input, right? Same thing for the Hoda S6. It has a plug for the AC input, right? And that means it plugs into a wall. Oh, here we go. Perfect. I got it. So here, right here, we have a plug. It plugs into the wall. That means it has a power supply built in. If you have a LiPo charger that doesn't have a power supply built in, that means it can only take a DC power source. And people are kind of annoyed. It's like, what do you mean? I need a battery. Like a battery would be an example of a DC source. So you could plug the LiPo charger into a battery. You could charge another battery off a battery. And people are like, well, if I have a battery, then I don't need a charger. I'm charging a battery off a battery. I want to plug it into the wall. Of course I do. So what's the point of a LiPo charger that doesn't have a power supply built in? Well, the idea is that you need the power supply, but if you already have a power supply, then if you already have a source of DC voltage, then you don't want to pay extra for a power supply built into the charger. So it's basically just, what options do you prefer? Most of my chargers have a AC power supply built in, but I usually don't run them off of their built-in AC power supply. So if we were in my office, you would see that I have a big power supply in the green ammo can, basically on the back of the bench. It's like 1200 watt power supply, and I run all my chargers off of that. And the reason for that is that typically the power supply that is built into a charger is smaller and less powerful than the external power supply that the charger is capable of handling. So a charger might have a 200 watt built-in power supply, but it might work at 500 watts if it's running off an external power supply. And that again is just a cost and size thing. If they were to build a 500 watt power supply into the charger, it would be much bigger and more expensive. So the idea is that, well, if you just want the convenience of plugging it into the wall, you get a little bit of power supply, but if you want to do it yourself with an external power supply, you get a big one. There are chargers out there, like the ISDT K6 comes to mind, that have a big honkin' built-in, that's not what I meant to type, ISDT K6. I believe it's the K6. No, not the K6. K4? There we go, the ISDT K4. The ISDT K4 comes to mind as one with a very big internal power supply. So if we, hang on one second, we go over here, sorry. If we go over here and drag this over, we can see it says AC 400 watts, DC 600 watts dual input mode. So it can do 400 watts off its internal power supply. That's fairly good for a built-in power supply, right? Most of them are going to be less than that, more like 200 watts. So you just buy what you need is the short version. But most of the time, when I go on a trip like this, I won't bring a power supply. I'll just bring the D6 Pro and plug it into the wall. When I'm at home, I'll have the power supply. And then when I'm in the field, I will potentially run the charger off of my car alternator. And that is just a straight DC power source. So do I have a recommendation for a power supply? Yeah, there's various power supplies you can look for. The best case scenario, you're going to want a 24 volt instead of a 12 volt. The higher voltage is going to mean lower amps. What if we just go to like Race Day Quads and search for a PSU power supply? So Race Day Quads has sold this thing forever, and it's still reasonably priced. This is a 24 volt, 400 watt power supply for 65 bucks. It is not the highest quality power supply you can get in the world. Back when Race Day Quads first started selling them, they basically had, and this was years ago, so I don't know if this is still true. There was a failure rate, and basically, if you bought it and it died on you, they would just send you another one because they're only paying, I don't know, they're paying 20, 30 bucks for them, or I don't know what they're paying, but basically it was good enough that a lot of people used it and it got the job done. Here is a 360 watt, 15 amp, 24 volt for 30 bucks, or a 400 watt, 24 volt for 65 bucks. Seems like this 360 watt is the way to go, and that's going to be like plenty for a lot of things you would need to do. Although many chargers could exceed this, and you would want to make sure you stayed under, like, I'd give it a little bit of headroom. I'd stay under 300 watts here, or maybe 450 watts on this one. That's a good recommendation. If you want something more powerful, you can go out and find it, but you're going to spend a lot more money on it.